Hello, and my name is Mardi Winder-Adams, and I am a part of an amazing book called The Other Side of Divorce, Breakups That Lead to Breakthroughs. And in this series of interviews, I get the privilege to talk with the amazing women that I've worked with, that we've all worked together to create this book. So my next guest is one of our international authors, Jasmina Egelnor. She is a entrepreneur. She's a quantum coach. She's an already established author. And what Jasmina does is she really works with her clients to overcome their fears, find their purpose, and to really become the best version of themselves they can be. And Jasmina, I'm going to turn this over to you because I want you to explain to people what got you involved in the book, and then also what is it that you do for your clients with your amazing services. And welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Marty. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you so much, for letting me be part of this project. It's been really an amazing experience, and I am so looking forward, to see how this develops and to hopefully meet all the beautiful souls through this project. So, yes, happy to be here. I got inspired. I think I was contacted by Linda Sunshine West about the book because I was involved in another book project with her. She's the one of the publishers. Yes, for those who don't know. And she told me, at that time I didn't had any intention of writing my next collaboration book or anything like that. But she explained to me the theme of the book and a little bit about who they were looking for. And she also presented you a little bit, and I just fell in love because it just I don't know, it called my heart somehow, because this is really a topic that feels so warm in my heart, and it feels also just like a natural thing to do for me to write about this, like a divorce. Many women out there experience that, and it's not always for many of us, it's not a very nice experience. It can also be traumatic, and it can feel like really most part of your life is ending. So I just feel called to actually give, to inspire maybe someone out there, to give some positive energy, to give hope, and to also meet other amazing women in this project, in this group, and to do this together. So I just couldn't say no, and here I am, and really happy to be a part of this. Yeah. And I got divorced. It's almost a decade now, so I can say for my part, I had a pretty good divorce. As good as a divorce can be. When it comes to relationship with my ex-husband, I actually have a beautiful relationship with my ex-husband. So I think also I wanted to bring that out there, that it doesn't always needs to be that bad, and it's also something that you can work on. So I find my relationship with my ex-husband even much better now than it ever was. So even compared maybe in our early days when we just met and it was all romantic, I just appreciate him in another way now. And for me, the hardest part when going through divorce was, I have two kids, I have two boys. So it took me like 3 years or something like that to really make that decision, because we have shared custody. So I just couldn't imagine myself being without my kids. It was hard, but it has worked out. And, my kids are thriving, and their dad and we are working really together to raise them, and we are just all living a good life. So I wanted to give that to the public. And what I do work with women, but I do work with men as well. I have a long background in corporate of like almost 20 years, mostly in leadership positions. I have a finance background. I can say I had like a great career. I was a high achiever, and I was really running through life from one goal to another. But I never felt really happy. So, and that divorce also, was something like a big shake in my life. So after that, I just went through like really, really big personal change. And among other things, I also became entrepreneur. I left my employment. I started a business. I started doing corporate consulting, and then later on coaching as well, because actually coaching, working with people, that's what I wanted to do. But it took me some time. I wanted to invest in myself, in my skills, coaching skills, and also, to just establish myself. So that is what I do now, and I love it. I call myself a quantum coach or a transformational life coach. I help people that really have that inner drive to have something more, something different in life, that maybe have had success in their career or something, but like I was, they're not happy, they don't have the joy, they don't feel they have a purpose, they want something different. So that's usually my typical client, and also to just help them to find out what they truly want, and to then work on like releasing what's not serving them anymore, and to embrace the new selves, and just then to build from there, to create who they want to be, and to create that life they want to live. And it is just so giving to me, because I love growth, personal growth. And this is, I grow through this all the time, because it challenges me, it gives me joy, it gives me love, it opens my heart. So I love it. And I work one-on-one with people, and, so whoever wants to find me can find me by my name on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. And I really work on individual programs as well, to help every person, for in what they truly need to be helped with. Yes.
Jasmina, I just love what you do for people. And thank you for explaining that. And I think you bring a really important perspective to the book, because you and some of the other women that contributed found that they can still have a great relationship with their with the children's other parent, with your past partner. And I just think that's something magical. And I think a lot of women stay in unhealthy divorces, or knowing that that's not where they need to be, because they're so afraid of what this could do to children. So can you talk a little bit, we don't need to get into your personal stuff, but how did you change your mindset, or how did you work on being a really good co-parent with your husband after the divorce, with your ex-husband after the divorce? How are you able to do that?
Yeah, I can say, absolutely. The first time after, absolutely, it was difficult. I remember, especially when my kids were at my ex-husband's and coming home to an empty apartment at that time, it was so difficult. But I think, my biggest why were still my kids. So they always have come first, and that's natural for most of us, for most, especially mothers, also fathers. I think that. So I think, like, just thinking, what my kids needed most, and I know that I remember even by that time that I was thinking, they need to see, they still need that stable family, and I was just thinking we can still have that. We can have that. And that's how I feel, really, Mardi. I still feel that my ex-husband is my family. We feel like a family. We just don't spend all the time together, but we spend a lot of time together, and it feels so natural. But I can tell you one thing. Yes, I had those thoughts, but I was also, sad and a little bit depressed, and it was a little bit messy in my mind as well. So what I actually did practically is that I took care of myself, of my own, mess and growth. And when I say mess, yes, it was a healing process as well. And I think that is very important to realize for women, that going through a divorce. no matter if it's a difficult one or a better one, it's still difficult for
Yeah.
anybody. So I was going through a healing journey. So I took care of myself. I was reading books. I was going through courses and programs. I was having a coach. And I also, I actually just ran down into my passions. And one of my passion is like my biggest one is actually personal growth. So I was working on myself so much, and that's why I realized also that this is what I want to do with others as well, for others. So I think that I in my case, it was working on myself, on my
Right.
healing, and also on my own awareness, on my own growth. Through that, when we actually develop ourselves, when we get a higher awareness, when we can work on our fears and our strengths and our dreams, when we grow, we can grow our relationships as well.
Yeah.
If we are stuck in a black corner, we can't even have a good relation with ourselves, and that's what comes first. A good relation with yourself, and you can only have that if you are in a good place in life. If you heal yourself and if you work on yourself,
Yeah.
and from there, everything gets better. Not just even my relation with my kids, it's developing all the time. For me, that is so important. That's the most important thing in my life. But I also always see it like an ongoing project. The growth is infinite, and I always see that it can get better and better because I'm always staying aware of myself, who I am, what I bring to the world, and we can always do better. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I
for me,
think,
it's about personal growth.
yeah,
Yes.
I love that because I do think like I've done a lot of research, Carol Dweck with her growth mindset and fixed
Yes.
mindset work and all that. So I do see that how people go through divorce or changing careers or dealing with, I'll call them setbacks in life, challenges in life that come up that we didn't expect. If people have that sense of I can grow, I can learn, I can get better, they tend to go through these things and be successful. Whereas if you are kind of the victim, like I have no control, everything
Yeah.
bad always happens to me. And we all have those thoughts, don't get me
Yes.
wrong. So those are normal and natural.
Yeah.
But if we get stuck in that what's the point in trying because something else bad is just going to happen? When people get into that mindset, that's when they get stuck in those unhealthy places. And that's really what you help people on both ends of that, right?
Yeah.
If you're feeling
Yes.
stuck, you can help.
Yes.
Or if you don't want to get stuck, you can help. Can you talk a little bit about how your coaching works to help people get out of that stuck and fears and kind of feeling like everything is being done to them and they have no control?
Absolutely, absolutely. I can say, through my coaching, I actually use, a combination of coaching and mentorship as well, because mentoring somebody, that's mostly based on experience, and coaching is based on, using a toolbox of different tools and coaching people. So I can tell that I can relate to those people a lot because I felt stuck for many years, in my marriage and in life in general, because I was in a career where I was like pushing so hard and I was drained and I was not happy, but I didn't know how to do anything else, so I knew I wanted something different and it was possible, but I wasn't sure if it was possible for me, to be honest. And also then in a marriage that wasn't like bad. It's not like we were fighting, but there was like no love or passion left, and I just felt like lost and
Yeah.
drained and like I wasn't myself. So I can relate to that. And then I have a toolbox, that I love, when it comes to the coaching. So the first step I would say is working on the awareness, because usually when we are stuck, we are like all up in our logical minds. We have all these thoughts, and all these thoughts actually affect our feelings, how we feel. And what we manage to do is actually that we're just like in the same situation all the time, because we can't, we lack clarity, so to say. So it's like working on the awareness, coming aware of your own thoughts and how they affect you, and realizing that you actually are in control, of your own feelings and your situation, and that you can maybe choose, to have those thoughts or beliefs then, or not to have them, to
Right.
actually release them and replace them. So everything starts, with that awareness, and then realizing, what beliefs do I have? Where do those beliefs come from? What fears do I have, and why, and work. And then it's like all the working through that. There needs to be awareness first, and then the will to do it. And working through that actually doesn't have to be hard at all.
Right.
There are people with, like, in one session, they can have such a transformation that's like amazing, in releasing that everything that's not serving them. And then actually, just when you release something, you make space. That's when you make space to let in the new. That's when you can actually understand yourself and what you want and find your purpose. But when you're still stuck in all those, old, in the past, in the old thoughts, in the old feelings, it's just filled, you
Right.
have no space for the new. So when you release first, when you have the space, then you can find yourself, and then you can let in the new, and you can decide who you want to be. And it all starts with who you want to be, your identity. Then you start, creating and doing, when you realize what you want to do, then it gets to action and goals and plans and everything. And suddenly you're just creating that into reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, and I love your passion about this, but this is the gift of coaching, that
Yeah.
there is somebody outside who is not emotionally attached to your story, that can just ask you the questions, and then you can decide. Nobody tells you. Coaching is not about therapy, going back and figuring out, what your mom did that caused you to have these thoughts. It's just recognizing that this thought exists in my mind.
Yes.
And it's probably not accurate, and whenever we're in, I always, that's one thing, that's one coaching tool let me back up. That is the difference between, I think, somebody who is a trained coach who has gone through the certifications and the training, and somebody who, I'm going to say this, I hope I don't, well, I'm probably going to definitely offend somebody who just calls themselves a life coach that has no experience and no training. Because a coach should never tell you what to do. A coach should never, ask you to divulge anything that you don't want to talk about. The coach is just there, I always say, to hold space and hold up a mirror and say, this is what I'm hearing you say. Is that what you want? Is that the way you want to show up in the world? Is really what it's about, right?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Otherwise, so-called coaches, if you're telling people from your experience something like that, that's not coaching. That's more or less mentoring, when you teach something, that you have experienced yourself. Coaching is not. It's really not. And it's really amazing also to have a toolbox. I also love, somatic coaching as well, those tools like breathwork or meditations, or EFT or something like that. That is so helpful for so many people, because, everything that we experience in our mind gets stuck in our body as well. So many are in need to just release that. So it is really just a combination to actually, help you release, help you heal. And every one of my clients, they are the ones doing the amazing work. They are the ones, coming up with the ideas. They are the one, releasing. Absolutely. I am just there, as you say, to hold the space, and to help them, to lead them through that process, so, and to offer them, some of the tools, that help them. And it's, I went through both coaching and also, doing some work on myself, but it usually takes longer, of course. And mostly because you don't have that mirror, so you are still just in your head. And then,
And I was going to say, I think one of the things that people that have been coached make the best coaches, or people that continue using a coach. Like, I don't have a coach all the time, but if I find that I'm getting stuck, or I'm finding that I'm having a particular challenge quite often now. A coach I've worked with in the past, I'll go, hey, can we book a few sessions? Cause I just need to kind of
Yes.
get grounded again. And
Yes.
it's kind of like, it's such a uplifting experience. And one of the things, I had never realized how much our stories that we tell ourselves impact how we believe events have happened in our life.
Yeah.
And I was a few years ago, I was talking to my sister. We live in different countries. I'm in the States, she's in Canada. And so we don't see each other all the time. We talk and stuff, but we don't see each other. And we happened to be sitting down and talking about some events that had happened in our childhood. And when she was telling her version of the story, I was thinking, like, what the heck is she talking about? That is not how that happened. And we were, yes, we were kids, but we had totally different recollections of the same event. And I had told myself that story over and over again for so long that I couldn't even comprehend how that could be her version of the truth. And I wonder how much we do that in all things in our life.
Yes. All the time, and most people, and most of us spend most of our time in the past. That's we just repeat all those stories, and all the moments, everything, and actually then we just live there and we just recreate, so, and then we wonder why nothing is happening, nothing new on the other side. But it is what I started it. It's about awareness. People are not aware. This happens automatically, most of your thoughts. I don't know, how many thoughts we think. I just forgot a number. It's
huge though.
In one day. And most of them are like 90% of them, the same thoughts just you thought yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's automatically, so that is, I will say awareness, that's where it starts, and it's how it continues. I mean, just because I worked on my awareness for many years, I continue every second day. I catch myself all the time, and that's how you raise your awareness. Actually, you are just getting aware. You just catch yourself, and you don't, get stuck. You don't blame yourself. You just let it go. Okay.
It's like, it's like fact checking yourself when you hear that thought, like, oh, you can't do that, or that's too hard. You have to catch it right there and go, why am I thinking this? Like, what is this serving me? Because, I think, and so to bring this all back to the divorce thing, I think that when women or men go through a divorce, if you don't get awareness of what happened, if you don't do personal growth to work on relationships, when you get into your next relationship, whether it's a dating relationship or a new marriage, all those old experiences from the first relationship that didn't work, or maybe several relationships in your life that haven't worked, which most of us have, will impact your future relationships. And so that's why this work is all so important. And it's not just, like you say, it's not just dating, but it's relationships with your kids and your family and your colleagues at work.
Yes, I totally agree. And I just want to add one thing, for people listening, is that, this to have this realization and also acceptance that you can only change yourself. That's really a big one, because so many, get stuck in trying to change other people, hoping for others to change. If it's about, your ex or your husband or whoever, you can't change other people. You cannot never do that. That's their own decision, and everybody needs to make that decision their own. And not everybody wants that. Not everybody is even aware, and then you have to have a desire to change, to do something different. But you can't change anybody else than yourself. And then when you know that, then when you put all that energy into yourself, into your own change, into your own growth, that's actually when even environment around you starts to change, because you see things differently, you become different. So maybe, others noticing it, and your relationship change. And some, I even lost relationship. I must say that, because maybe you just outgrow some people. You go in different directions, or they're not feeling, they have no interest in growing, or they just don't like the new, I mean, I like me. That's the most important thing. And my kids like me. So, yes. So just want to mention that I think because many people are still stuck in that, they are hoping for that other person to change.
Yes.
And sometimes you can't have a beautiful relation with your ex, and it is what it is. If you focus on yourself, and absolutely those of us who have kids, the only other people in our life that we're responsible for are our kids, because they are kids.
Yes.
When they grow up, when they are adults, you are not responsible for them anymore either. They will be responsible in total for themselves. But outside that, it's only ourselves. So,
right.
Yeah.
Jasmina, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And as you can see, Jasmina's chapter is really inspirational. She gives some practical tips how she did this personal growth work for herself. And it's just a wonderful chapter with a great message of how to create that positive relationship that is going to carry through as co-parents. And like Jasmina said, if you can't, you can't. You can't control the other person. But if both of you are willing to work towards it, that co-parenting relationship can become stronger. But I love that message of personal growth. And I so love what you do for others. And thank you so much, Jasmina, for being in the book and being an exceptional co-author along with the rest of us. And I'm just going to encourage you all to reach out, get in touch with Jasmina if you have any questions. Make sure that you grab a copy of The Other Side of Divorce. And Jasmina, again, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Mardi. I loved it. Thank you.